Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and back here for another WWE 24 review. As we're going to take a look at one of my favorite episodes in this series, back from 2016. There was a 24 special called Seth Rollins, Redesign, Rebuild, Reclaim. This is based on the day Seth Rollins made his return after a 7-month absence due to a severe knee injury. He had tore both all three, the big triple whammy, the ACL, the MCL, and the meniscus in his right knee during a world title match on a European tour in Dublin in a street fight, I believe it was, against Kane. And this documentary more so just kind of followed along his journey. Well, it was more like when you're watching like a movie or like the episode of like a sitcom, and at the beginning you're just sitting on the bus. I guess it's kind of the same thing we had with the Daniel Bryan one as well, the last one, but it's like the story's meant to take place that day, but while we wait till the big moment where he makes his grand entrance and his grand return, he reflects on like the past 7 months of his recovery and whatnot. It also kind of emphasizes that this was probably, I think, one of the first huge injuries Seth Rollins ever had. So someone who goes from like feeling like they're immortal to now feeling like they can get hurt now, they're capable of it, kind of messes with the mindset a little bit. So it was an interesting, point of view on many factors on this. And we of course got to know Seth Rollins, the man, Colby Lopez, growing up as well, as he did focus some time on like his home life in Davenport, Iowa. And he's a pretty creative kid growing up, I'll put it that way. He definitely was passionate about wrestling from the beginning. Him and his brother had started like a their own for fun wrestling promotion that was getting attention from their neighbors, believe it or not, too. They used to put on fake shows in their yard and whatnot. Very fun documentary. Again, one of my favorites in the series. So again, it starts off with just explaining how we got here. Of course, showing Seth on the bus and redesign, rebuild, reclaim. How it basically just something that just kind of came to him. Redesign, get his knee back on track. Rebuild with the rehabbing, and reclaiming, which is the end goal of him claiming back his championship. So they first kind of addressed again that Seth, again, this is one of the first times Seth really ever got injured, and it was kind of like the first time of not feeling so immortal. And he tells a story about when he hurt his knee, which again I think was on November 4th, 2015 in Dublin during a European tour house show. And he was wrestling Kane, and he just went for, a move that he does all the time, the sunset flip. And for some reason, he just landed on the instep of his right knee, and his knee just gave out. He was somehow able to finish the match, though, picking up Kane, putting him on his shoulders, who was, 320 pounds, powerbombing him through a table, and they were able to, finish the match. In our interview, Seth has said he was thinking about, maybe doing some tag matches or just taking it easy, but then he goes and gets checked, and he was told, nope, you tore your ACL, you tore your MCL, and you tore your meniscus. So they sent him to Birmingham to get surgery, which meant he had to drop the championship. and the recovery is going to be probably about six or so months. Like usually they say most ACL injuries are about like 6 to 9 months, and of course Seth came back in 7. The goal from the beginning though was for him to come back by WrestleMania 32. He wanted to be there back in time for WrestleMania 32. We of course know for a fact that this did not happen. So, it starts off with, the beginning stages of him doing his workouts to try to, start rehabbing. Like, even like one of his first days of rehab, like a simple, like wall sits he was doing, like sent like a random little jolt down his leg, which startled him. And again, like I said, they're emphasizing again that this is like a guy going through like rehab due to injury for the first time in his career. And of course, I take a look back at his story. When he does like he's home with his dog Kevin. He of course is very competitive playing Madden and video games. I can get a little bit heated like that as well too. So I know how Seth feels. But then also they had some friends, his brother. They interviewed his mom, his stepfather, and his dad. And again, they talked for a while about, I said before, how they kind of had like their own little like hangout. They loved wrestling. When he was 14 years old, his mom got him a trampoline, and he started doing like flips and stuff on the trampoline. He always liked the wrestling buddies. Like there was a lot of like home video footage when he was like maybe like 5 years old or something like that. Like the kid just grew up on wrestling. I think they named their little wrestling promotion when they did shows out in their yard called EHW Extreme Hardcore Wrestling. I think one time even so there was some going on like a local fire hall, some event, and I guess apparently more people were invested in their shows rather than the freaking fire hall event or whatnot too. So yeah, Seth's able to pull off some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, he was a good athlete. He also played football. He also played, I think, basketball and I think baseball as well. But nope, he wanted to be a wrestler. So he went off and he became a wrestler. They showed one of his first matches on the Indies. He was 19 years old. He wrestled AJ Styles, which I remember when I saw that part of this documentary, that back then I had not seen Seth wrestle AJ yet. So that's when to kind of see playing like that's a dream match for me. And I believe we got it a few times in 2019. Last time we got it was at Night of Champions 2023 when they wrestled for the returning World Heavyweight Championship. They definitely have great chemistry, and he put on a clinic for sure. They didn't really touch on the Shield or him starting up. It mostly just focused like on him. And this is vlogs like reflection, or like how he did touch on the day where Daniel Bryan had to retire. Of course, Seth couldn't be there because of his injury, but of course he just mentioned how much of an influence Bryan was for sure on his career, how much of a fan he was, and just how upset he was he couldn't be there. But also the fact that it made him think it's like you just never know when this could end. Again, going back to the whole, I think I'm immortal. It's like, holy smokes, you never know what one thing could do, kind of just like, turn things around for you and just make it much more difficult than it was, unfortunately. They then, I'm trying to think if I missed anything else. Again, he continued to push to be back by WrestleMania 32. And I think, if I'm read correctly, if Seth never got hurt, I think he was supposed to drop the title to Roman Reigns at Survivor Series, and then he was going to go on to face Triple H at WrestleMania 32. Of course, since that didn't happen, that got pushed back, and Seth would wrestle Triple H at WrestleMania 33 instead in the unsanctioned match. But obviously, it became more and more apparent to him as time got closer that it wasn't going to happen. I believe he did that Biodex test, I think it was like a month before WrestleMania 32. He did well, but I guess he still didn't quite have like 20% strength in his knee compared to his other knee. I guess they said that they wanted to get them at least under 10% before trying to get him back in the ring and doing crazy maneuvers and whatnot again. And he wasn't quite there yet. So that made it pretty apparent that he was not going to be ready in time for WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania was only like in November, December, January, February, March, end of March, so like 4 months. He's trying to recover from an ACL injury in 4 months to be back by WrestleMania. And unfortunately, again, it didn't happen. He went to Dallas, though. He watched TakeOver. He did like an autograph signing and whatnot, but you know, it was just eating him alive that he couldn't be a part of that WrestleMania. John Cena, of course, was also out injured at the time with his rotator cuff injury, which basically told him, like, you know, hey, you're going to be on plenty more WrestleManias, and he for sure has. Like, I've said this probably since I first became a wrestling fan, and that was just only a few WrestleManias in, and, you know, years later. Seth Rollins, I think, has one of the best WrestleMania resumes, I think, out of any active wrestler right now. Like, you know, there is Roman Reigns, who's main event at WrestleMania. Will probably be 10 times now in at WrestleMania 41, and a few others. But yeah, I feel like Seth's WrestleMania resume is one of the strongest for sure. He did, of course, was hiding out watching the show, but of course, the moment that the main event ended, he was like, "Get me out of here! I can't take this." And this again, it ate him alive. So then I think like 6 weeks went by after that, and he has recorded a couple of vlogs and saying that if WrestleMania wasn't the ticket, then it looks like Extreme Rules will probably be the time as well, which I believe is when he got cleared to start doing like some like more in-ring action. He worked out with Ty Dillinger, and I think the one thing he said that definitely scared him the most was falling on his knees when doing the pedigree. At the time, he was using the pedigree because that's when Vince took away the curb stomp briefly, and he needed another finisher. Again, he did the ripcord knee, and after his feud with Triple H ended, but of course, you know, some other things he tried doing just wasn't quite working out, so that's when he came up with the idea of doing the pedigree, since he was basically Triple H's protege at the time, being like handpicked like the next like upcomer with his storyline with the Authority. So that's, of course, was that, but he eventually was able to do it. Once he's like, we're good. So he got the confidence back. Things looked pretty well. He had one more evaluation before Extreme Rules on Sunday. So he flew out to Newark, New Jersey, and just hit out until it became time for him to go get ready and wrestle. So he did in fact get cleared. He had just a little bit of swelling still in his joint, but not much at all. So doctors cleared him for Extreme Rules. And we all know Seth made his big return, attacking Roman Reigns with a pedigree after Reigns retained his title against AJ Styles in an excellent Extreme Rules match. And of course, the crowd was excited for sure that he was back. Seth thought it was good. Of course, the only thing that I continue to give WWE crap for is the fact that they brought him back as a heel. They really okay, if you wanted to bring him back and like keep him a heel, but like slowly show like the heel skin shed off of him, you could have done that. It would have been a little more better, but he was a full-blown heel. He was a full-blown heel with like right now with Roman Reigns coming back. Yeah, he's still the same guy, has the same mindset, but the evil side of him is shedding off. But it's a nice balance of a transition. Here, Seth Rollins, he's picked up right where he left off. He continued to be like the heel authority figure in the company, and again, like I said, like when he did finally turn face when Triple H attacked him, it was kind of like, why should we feel bad for him when he kind of got what he deserved? It took him injuring his knee again at the beginning of 2017 for him to get that sympathy. Because, you know, we all seen Seth. We all know he was an excellent wrestler. We wanted to see him get the moment at WrestleMania 31 and whatnot. But, you know, again, you should have... it bothers me that they did that. Yes, they figured out eventually, and of course, I feel like it was 2018 where Seth really gained the momentum as a top guy for sure and solidify himself at the top. But it could have been much sooner. I still think they should have brought Seth back as a babyface. And it sounded like, from what I've always read, though, he was going to turn face sooner had Roman not test positive for violating the wellness policy after Seth came back. Because if you remember, Seth beat Roman clean at Money in the Bank in his return match back. And then Roman disappeared for 30 days after being suspended. Apparently, the original plan was Roman was supposed to hold the championship going into the brand split and take the WWE title to Raw. The Universal title was going to go to SmackDown, and AJ was supposed to win the Universal title for the first time. And apparently, there was thoughts in mind of doing a double turn with Seth and Roman, which would have worked very well, of course. But yeah, I still didn't like how he came back as a full-blown heel after this, especially after seeing this documentary. This is a documentary that makes you get behind someone, not hate someone. Because I remember it was shortly after this documentary aired, I had suffered a minor knee injury myself at a trampoline park. And this is kind of like an inspiration documentary for me, which is why, again, I watched it so many times. It's one of my favorite in of these 24 specials. But very well done. Again, we got to see, stuff of Seth Rollins as a child and him growing up. It's cool seeing him put together his put together his own little wrestling promotion on the side for fun when he was growing up in his yard with some friends and his brother. So yeah, it was just a cool story behind the scenes look for him for sure. So that's my thoughts, guys, on WWE 24, Seth Rollins, Redesign, Rebuild, Reclaim. I think the next one is the, I think it's the Women's Evolution one, I think it is. I've seen that one maybe once. I don't remember much about other than one line, really, from it, which I'll probably mention in the next video. But we will go and do that one next. And, yeah, we'll catch that one soon. So what are you guys' thoughts on W24, Seth Rollins, Redesign, Rebuild, Reclaim? Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comments section below. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well, The Club of the Man 93. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at The Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your day. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!